Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I inspect the rear leaf springs. I decide to try using the lighter original spring packs. I clean them up and paint them. Then I install new polyurethane bushings and loosely install the springs under the Dana 44 rear axle. I will show all the details. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out. Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. This video is about rear leaf springs. With the engine in the Scout, the distance from the floor to the bottom of the wheel arch is 34 3/8 approximately. These aren't the tires that I'll be putting on there, but that doesn't matter. These are only 15-inch, and this Scout came with 16-inch wheels. But just for the sake of this measurement, it doesn't really matter because I've got 15-inch wheels on all the way around. So now, at the back, it's 33 1/4. So the back is low. If you look at the back leaf springs, it's a very small spring pack. It's only got 5 springs. Now over here on my welding bench, I have a set of leaf springs out of another Scout. And they've got lots of arch, and they've got 2 more leaves. I believe they have 7 leaves. And they look like they've been worked on. But of course, the bushings are worn out. So what I'm going to do right now, because I'm not positive I will use these springs until I've removed the springs from the Scout and compared everything. But anyway, for now, I'm going to press out the bushings, right, at both ends, and just clean these up, paint them black, and put them in storage until I need them. So let's get to work. It's important to measure these springs and see what's what. Just because they were installed a certain way on the Scout before doesn't mean it was the right way. First thing I want to do is remove this shackle bolt. This bolt is on there. I don't care about the bolt because I'm going to be replacing it anyway. So now that that's off, so WD-40 on the ball joint press. I'll try this socket. That worked. Bushing just fell out. Here's the bushing. Here and here. What's left of the bushing. So I've changed my strategy now. I'm knocking out the inner metal sleeves because these bushings are not cooperating with my ball joint press. See if I can knock out that rubber. There, got the rubber out. One more here. The inner sleeve's already out. You just have to knock out the rubber. That's easy, it just fell out. Before I resort to the cutting torch, I'm just going to put a clamp on this. Let's see what I can do there. Chisel. There. Got that one out. There's very little left of these. That's why they're so hard to press out. I can't really press them out. Let's try the other end of this one. Here, chisel. I'm going to try a smaller bit here.
There. Well, that worked. So that's 2 down, 2 to go. Number 3. Let's see if we can get onto that. We'll just try that again from the other side. Well, I think it's torch time. Okay. Cut a slot in it. We'll get a smaller, sharper chisel. So the bushings are all out. I'm just gonna clean these eyes with the die grinder with the carbide burr on it. Just removing a little bit of rust. It's not removing any metal or anything like that. This is the bushing, right? So it's the right size for that bushing. We'll just turn them around and do the other end. So now I'd like to get back to measuring. I'm going to measure from the center bolt to the center. It's 22.5. From the center bolt to here, it's 22.75, right? So that's all I need to know for now. I'm just going to put these into cold storage until I need them.
Attention fellow Scout enthusiasts. I hope that you are getting useful insights from my videos. I've published a total of 76 videos once a week. It's a full-time job. In order to achieve this, I have neglected other responsibilities. Everything is catching up to me. Rather than compromise the quality of my videos, I've decided to begin publishing bi-weekly. Please like and subscribe and help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Mike Morrow, over and out.
Going back to the issue that the back of the Scout was lower than the front of the Scout, and it had, this was the shackle length, was 7 inches, which is ridiculous. It's overkill. It's too much. When the springs flex, it'll cause the axle to move back towards the rear of the Scout, and it may even, with a load on, the axle will be off center, may even hit the body, and it also affects the slip yoke. The slip yoke can come out too far on the drive shaft, so I'm definitely not going to use that. These are the shackles, rear shackles, for most of my Scout 80s that I have, and my other 800, and they're 2.5. But because I'm a little low at the back, the only way to raise the back is because the springs sit under the axle. The size of the spring pack doesn't make a lot of difference. The arc makes a difference, but you can't shim it. If you shim it, it makes the Scout lower. The only way to make the Scout higher is to have a longer shackle like that, but it's too long. So instead of having this, I made these new shackles, right? And so the old one is 2.5, and this one is 4. So for every inch or more shackle you gain half an inch in body height, right? So every inch I add, so I should gain 3/4 of an inch with this shackle. And I don't want to have a longer shackle than that. If this doesn't work, what I may do is lower the front, because I can easily lower the front of the Scout by adding shims between the spring and the axle. That would lower it, just to have them the same. But we'll just see how it happens with this so far. So now my next job is to paint all these bits and pieces and paint these springs and have it ready to install. Hi, Mike here. So this is the heavy spring pack that I was working on. And now that I've removed the axle from the Scout, this is the original spring pack from the Scout, which has 5 leaves, and the heavy one has 7 leaves. But because the axle sits on top of the springs, the only measurement that matters is this main leaf spring, the height of the arc of this main leaf spring, which is 6 3/8 for this pack, and it's actually 6 1/2 for this pack. So actually, my original springs have slightly more arc than these do, and I don't gain any height because the axle sits here. And I think I will have too rough a ride with this heavy spring pack. So I'm going to go to the original springs that were in there, which is good. It's what we want anyway. And these springs are in good shape. They also look like they've been worked on at some time. You can tell because the rubber that goes under these straps is not rotten. So, you know, it's not like 60 years old. And it's a good looking spring. So now I'm going to clean out these eyes a little bit and install the bushings. So let's get to work. So the first thing I'm doing is cleaning out the eyes in the main leaf with the die grinder. Just removing any rust. I actually can see some rust in there. I'm using urethane bushings. Here's the new bushing here. This should just slide right in here. I have to lubricate it first with the silicone lubricant that comes with the kit. Put a little bit of that on there, right? And slide it in here. And it fits perfectly. I already measured on the Scout, the bracket, and this will fit. I don't need to cut the bushing down or anything. And so now this pin that goes on the inside, I want to lubricate that too. And the lubrication is really important on these kind of bushings because they can squeak. And we don't want squeaky bushings. So just put a light coat of that on there. Slide that into place. Just presses in with my fingers. Maybe give it a little tap with the mallet. There. Now there, that's in place and it's flush. So that's one bushing installed. Same thing for the other 3. I'm now at the rear of the truck. The rear shackle attaches here. I'm going to install this bushing here, but first I'm going to clean it a little bit with the die grinder. And then I will install the bushing, and I see I need to put a little bit of paint here after the bushing is installed. So let's get to work. So here's the bushing. That went in nicely. There's the insert. There, that's good to go. Just needs a little bit of black paint. Same thing on the other side. So I've got the spring sitting on some blocks. The dowel is in place already. I've got one U-bolt on here. The shock mount goes facing forward on the inside of the axle. Right? So now I just have to push that. Give it a tap with a plastic mallet. Like that. New nuts and heavy flat washers going on here. I've got the short side of the spring facing towards the front of the Scout. But anyway, that's the way it's supposed to be. And one more U-bolt here. Just squeeze that U-bolt. There's the other U-bolt. Plastic mallet. Washers and nuts. Same thing other side. I've got the springs loosely mounted to the axles, both sides. Lots of never sees on the U-bolts. I'm ready for the shock mount here and here. I have my shackle just loosely bolted on there. So I'm ready to lift the axle off the bench, set it down on the floor, and put the wheels on. Because that's how I want to install it, with the wheels on. I'm just going to roll the bench out from underneath this. Now I can just lower it down. Put the wheels on. There. That steadied it. There's the rear axle sitting on the floor, ready to install in the Scout.
In conclusion, now the axle is on the floor with the springs and wheels on, ready to install. In my next video, I install the rear axle with 2.5-inch shackles and measure the height of the Scout at the wheel arches. I will show all the details. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.